Did you ever feel in one moment that your dream is over and you face the fear of that moment and manage to grab something really powerful and turn the situation around? Well, this thing happened to me. I'm going to tell you a little story that happened back in the day when my son was 3 months old. We were driving from London all the way to Montenegro on Adriatic Sea. And we were going to visit our family friends who had celebrations for this occasion. So before we even left London, I remembered this blue cave that I saw in Montenegro when I was a child. And I made a decision, if I'm going to be there, I want to see the blue cave again. Because all I could remember was seeing blue everywhere you looked. And when we reached Montenegro and we were there at our friend's celebration, enjoyed our day immensely with all of them. And then in the late afternoon, coming to evening, the family was resting and even my baby was asleep. And I turned to my brother and I said, "Do you remember the way to the blue cave?" And my brother looked at me and he said, "I think we can figure it out." And we jumped into our four-wheel drive and drove from the house around this beautiful bay overlooking the lovely fjord called Boka Kotorska in the middle of the Adriatic Sea. And we drove over this peninsula, over some very rocky terrain that was, thankfully, our car was equipped to deal with this road. And when we reached on top of the hill and over to go now towards the other side of the peninsula, the view opened up and we could see this magnificent Adriatic Sea. On a clear day, you can see all the way to Italy. And as we drove down into the bay and onto the little beach, we noticed that the tide was coming in. We parked in the nearby pine woods and we walked to the beach, which was empty. And along this little jetty, there were boats parked. And I thought, this is a good sign. We can find somebody to take us to the Blue Cave. And as we approached the jetty, we saw the two local guys waving to us from the edge of the woods. They were going in the opposite way. And they waved to us and they said, "You are too late. You can't go there now." And my brother and I looked at each other. We're too late? Over there obviously was the Blue Cave because that is the main attraction of the area. I paused for a second, thinking, I really don't know when I'm going to be back here again. And in that second, I felt, is this how the dream ends? Something inside me said, no, there is no way that this is how the dream ends. And I thought, just for a split second, the Blue Cave is in the sea and I'm in the sea and I can swim, and I just jumped in without any further thoughts. And a split second behind me, I could hear another splash. Obviously, my brother jumped in straight after me, thinking, oh my God, she's crazy, she's going to drown herself, I need to save her, I need to be with her. And as we are swimming away from the jetty, I noticed a group of tourists coming, and I couldn't understand their language, but I did understand the word blue in there. So they were obviously thinking the same thing. They wanted to see the blue cave. And I think they were making the same conclusion and the same decision as we were making, because we heard splash after splash. And here we were now in the water. I was leading the way to the blue cave with several people swimming behind me. And as we are swimming now and approaching the entrance into the blue cave, the tide is rising, and I could see just this little pocket of air, maybe a foot like this above water. I paused for a second. You know, inside me something was growing bigger and bigger, and I had a moment of hesitation, if I'm honest with you. And I thought, can I really do this? And that voice inside me confirmed that I can. So I took this huge breath and dove in. And from my memory, I know that this isn't a huge thing. I knew that this wasn't such a heroic thing that I was doing. I just had to dive for a couple of meters to be inside. And as I took this big breath and I dove in, swimming for 2 meters, I popped up. Blue everywhere you look. There was blue reflected from the water on the ceiling, blue water in little waves around us, blue cave, everything this deep sapphire color blue. I was in paradise. And everyone who came with me enjoyed this moment, this huge reward. You see, in the moment, when you make a decision, there is no hesitation. In the moment that you make a decision, a bigger force, the universe, comes along to play with you. And even more, comes along to support you in your decision. I deeply believe that you have to be resolved to follow your dream. And I want you to think today, how many times did you think, oh, this dream is just not worth it, let me just give it up? When you came across maybe first block. I encourage you today to think that there is a greater power inside you that you can connect to, and that you too can make every little dream come true.